So this whole thing started really this morning, and actually it goes even back further than this. It starts with this tweet from AOC, or this post, this video of AOC that went viral today on conservative media. And AOC, and we're going to watch this video. Actually, you know what? Why don't we just do this first? Why don't we do this first? Why don't we start out with this video? Let me set up the sound so we can all hear it. And just know that that conservative Twitter has no fucking clue what this clip is about. Conservative Twitter is like screaming their heads off all day today. They're like, she hates white people, and doesn't she know that Spanish started in Spain? They are under the absurd notion that whiteness means skin color and not capitalism, which the idea that whiteness is a reference to skin color is as absurd as the headline. Larry Elder is the black face of white supremacy. If black people can be white too, then whiteness can't be a reference to skin color, you absolute retards. But, of course, conservative idiots don't know that, because conservative idiots make money off of fomenting this idea that the left hates white people. Conservative retards won't look at leftist events and know they're mostly made up of white people. Conservative retards won't watch leftist meetings to know that those meetings are almost all run by white people. Conservative retards would never dare go undercover at the events with the far left that I've gone undercover with, because if they did, they would find that that it's almost all white people. And yet this absurd fucking notion, the left hates white people, because their own fucking media and their own fucking influencers have taken clips out of context, not listened to the full fucking clip, and then lied to millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people about what it means when the left talks about how whiteness means capitalism. Whiteness is a reference to systemic racism. The system that upholds racism is capitalism. The left believes that capitalism created racism in this country. The left believes that you cannot fix racism without abolishing capitalism. It's always been about capitalism, which they define as private property ownership. Private property ownership meaning bourgeois property you can use to create privatized individual wealth that creates economic disparities. Those economic disparities create a hierarchy creates oppression. Conservatives don't know any of this, because conservatives don't bother to listen to the left. And what I just explained, by the way, for people who are new, is basic 101 level information. If you don't understand that the left defines capitalism as private property ownership explicitly, and you don't understand that when the left says whiteness, white supremacy, racism, they mean systemic racism, the system that upholds racism. It is in the fucking term. The system that upholds racism is capitalism, because they believe capitalism, private property ownership, creates all problems in society. Capitalism created racism through the ownership of people as private property. When they created the term whiteness, it did not mean white skin color. It meant people who did not work in the sun, which means the ownership class, the property owner. The black slaves were the property. That is why the left believes that black people should fundamentally be far leftist. That is why Larry Elder is called the black face of white supremacy, because Larry Elder, by not being a far leftist, is engaging in white supremacy, which means supporting a capitalist private property ownership culture. That's what they mean when they call Larry Elder the black face of white supremacy, you absolute retards. No, it's not fucking code. I'm literally breaking it down for you right now. As I've explained to you no less than 5 times, I'm pretty sure, they are speaking a different language than you. If you do not listen to them, you do not understand their language. No one on the conservative right listens to these people. We are literally the only community of people on the internet that I know of. And if you think there is someone else doing this, then please correct me. We are the only people on the internet who are watching what the left actually says and actually does in the real world without editing things out of context, without twisting things to mean things that they do not mean. What did I literally just fucking explain to you? When the left says whiteness, they mean capitalism. When the left says racism, they mean capitalism. When the left says systemic racism, they mean capitalism. When the left says white supremacy, they mean capitalism. They mean capitalism because they believe capitalism, private property ownership, created racism through the ownership of people as private property and slavery. When they say the word whiteness, they don't mean white skin color. They mean people who did not work in the sun. And I have them on video saying this explicitly. It's a reference to the ownership class. I've now explained that twice in the same stream just for you. So conservatives, because they have no fucking clue what they're talking about, don't understand what AOC is saying at all. They're running around Twitter right now, riling everyone up. They hate white people. She doesn't know. Guys, I want to listen to what AOC actually says in this clip, and then I want you to explain to me what she's saying. Yes, they believe the world runs on capitalism. Listen.
There's a very big difference between whiteness and national, like your actual culture, right? Whiteness is
there is a difference between whiteness, capitalism, bourgeois property ownership, and national culture. She's saying whiteness is not the same as ethnicity. She is saying whiteness means the system, which she's going to call an imaginary thing because they believe capitalism is a made-up system, is not the same as fucking skin color. Search the words whiteness and capitalism on Blue Sky, and then you tell me what you come up with.
An imaginary thing. Being German is real.
What she means is when the white property owners brought the black slaves, and whiteness and blackness in this case are social constructs created by capitalism in order to denote the ownership class and the private property owned oppressed class. They are groups, they are categories. They are not a reference to skin color. You are either the owner or the owned. White meant owner, black meant owned. What she is saying is, when white people brought slaves to America, I shouldn't even say white people. Strike that, reverse it. What Europeans did when they brought slaves to America is they created these categories of whiteness to denote who owned property and who was the property that was owned. The argument she is making is, prior to bringing of slaves to America, I'm not explaining what I believe, I'm explaining what she believes. Prior to bringing slaves to America, people referred to themselves as German or English or French or Irish or whatever the fuck ethnicity. She is saying that when the Europeans brought slaves to America, they made a new category called white to denote the property owning class. Black was the category to identify the owned property. This is about capitalism because capitalism created the private property ownership of human beings. That is what created systemic racism. When the left says racism, they mean the system that upholds fucking racism. That means capitalism. You do not have racism in their ideology without private property ownership, and you cannot get rid of racism as they define it without getting rid of capitalism. Does everyone understand what I am saying? Let's start again.
There's a very big difference between whiteness and national, like your actual culture, right? Whiteness is an imaginary thing. Being German is real. Being Italian is real. Being English. These are rich cultural heritages that are based on values, and they are so much a part of what make our cultures and our societies what they are. There's a very big difference between whiteness.
What she is saying is whiteness was created as a social construct by capitalism. It is not a real ethnicity. It was created to denote the imaginary hierarchy of the property owning class and the property that is owned. She literally didn't even fucking mention skin color, but because conservative retards have so brainwashed their mass audiences, that is the only thing that they can make out of this. They have absolutely no fucking clue what AOC is saying. People ask me all the time, they're like, Carlin, why are you so mean to conservatives? We're all on the same team. And I say, the fuck we are. Do I get to consent to being on this team? Do I get to agree to be on this team? Do I get to have any option at all? Because quite frankly, I don't want to be on the same team as a bunch of unhinged fucking kindergarten retards that are just running around screaming and just fucking throwing shit at each other and behaving like absolute fucking animals. I don't want to be on the same team as you. I have no desire to be on the same team as you at all. Carlin, why don't you play nicer with people? Why the fuck should I? Why, like, literally, why should I? Why should I when the people that we're talking about care more about whining and complaining and making shit up and advancing some bullshit narrative than they do about anything that's real? Why should I be nicer? Why should I try to work with these people? It makes no sense whatsoever. I tried to work with these people. It was in the year 2020. It didn't work out because they're fucking stupid. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. I left. I started doing my own thing. They couldn't understand why I didn't want to play with them anymore. They attacked me. They defamed me. They dragged my family through the mud. They doxed my fucking friends and loved ones. They doxed me. They drove by my house taking pictures of my house. They lied about me all over the internet. You guys think I want to be on the same team as these people? This is basic. This is entry level. These are people who claim to be fighting the left. You don't even know what they're saying.
There's a very big difference between whiteness and national, like your actual culture, right? Whiteness is an imaginary thing. Being German is real. Being Italian is real. Being English. These are rich cultural heritages that are based on values, and they are so much a part of what make our cultures and our societies what they are.
What she is saying is, prior to the bringing of slaves to America, which is an exercise in capitalism, private property ownership, people referred to themselves by their country of origin, whether it be Germany or Spain or France or Ireland or Britain or wherever the fuck. They referred to themselves by their ethnicity. When they came to the United States, they became part of the ownership class, the white class, the people who did not work in the sun, the social construct created by capitalism that denotes property owners. And the black slaves were set up as a separate class of people because they were owned property. White denoted the property ownership class. If there had been a black-skinned slave owner, he would have been considered white too, just like Larry Elder is literally considered to be the black face of white supremacy by the Los Angeles Times, just like multiple media outlets have talked about multiracial whiteness, just like Cheryl Harris, we have her on video saying that black people can be white too, has nothing to do with fucking skin color. It has to do with the property ownership system that is capitalism. That is what they mean when they say whiteness. That is what they mean when they say racism. That is what they mean when they say systemic racism, the system that upholds racism, which is capitalism. You can use some people skills. Hey, guess what? Guess what? 1 in the chat for deport, 2 in the chat for he can stay. 1 in the chat for deport, 2 in the chat for he can stay. Do you think this person is the ally that you want in fighting the left? Do you think this person is going to be an asset to your team if they're running around tone policing and talking about people skills when you're trying to do a very advanced level explanation about what is actually going on? This person probably, by the way, has no fucking clue what's going on because they've never listened to the left in their life, has never been on my channel in his life, comes in here and says, you need to work on your people skills. I'm only going to listen to you if you say what I want you to say and you're nice to me. You know there'd be a lot more people who follow your work if you were just nicer to them. Well, literally, go fuck yourself. Deported. We don't want you here. The entire chat has voted. You have been voted off the island. Let me show you some of the things today that have been in my Twitter feed since I posted this earlier today. And by the way, conservatives are way more outraged by this tweet than they are with the clip I have of communists talking about overthrowing the government. Do you guys remember last week when we literally secretly recorded the Denver communists talking about overthrowing the federal government? Do you guys remember that? Did anyone think that was a big deal? Last week, my community secretly recorded a far left group with a secret recording that no one else has access to on the internet because we were the ones who recorded it. And we got them on video twice saying they want to overthrow the government and this anti-ICE activism is about overthrowing the government. And we posted that on Twitter and literally no one cared and it didn't get covered anywhere and it barely got shared and it definitely didn't go viral because communists plotting to overthrow the government is not what's important to conservatives. And it's not what's important to their influencers. It doesn't support the narrative that they're trying to sell. So, of course, no one shared this. Cynthia. In with the 50. W's for Cynthia. If you can't handle Carlin, you will lose a battle with the leftists right out of the gate. Listen, learn, toughen up, kitty. Cynthia, this is why I love you. It's not just the money. It's not just the channel memberships. It's that you are a goddess that completely understands what we're doing here. We love you, Cynthia. We appreciate it. Thank you. You would think if conservatives actually cared about defeating the problem of the left, like this little video that was secretly recorded of a far left group that has national ties with other far left groups all over the country, you would think this would be a bigger deal to them, huh? Nope. They don't care about this. They don't care about this at all. What they care about is me saying I cannot overstate how stupid most people on the right are when it comes to discussing the left. W's in the chat for Irish Last Sass. Thanks so much for the gifted channel membership. I cannot overstate how stupid most people on the right are when it comes to discussing the left. They don't listen to the left. They don't understand the left. They make shit up about the left. They celebrate their own ignorance all the time. It is infuriating. I posted this, and hundreds of conservatives are currently whining their feelings out in the replies. They're whining their feelings out in the replies. Let me just show you some of the highlights that I've gotten today. I have had many people say, oh yeah, you don't even know what a woman is. So conservatives are so smart and so tuned into what's going on that they think I'm a communist that doesn't know how to define a woman. Okay. We already talked about these, but these were just some of my favorites. Excuse me, do you think the left listens and do you think the left isn't stupid? We should be able to do these things too if the left doesn't listen and the left is stupid. Okay. This guy, 134. Who the fuck is this guy? Like, does anyone actually know who this is? I truly have no idea. I'm not actually trying to be funny. I actually have no idea who this guy is. Anyway, This is a pretty good indication of the level of conservative discourse. Why would anyone want to listen to the left? They have destroyed all of our institutions and archetypes. They had a multi-decade run and everything went to shit, and so now it's time for the adults to take over. So what you're saying, Sam, is the left took over our entire culture in a decades-long endeavor to take over every major institution, and they've been completely successful in everything that they've done. And you think the best strategy to defeating that is just to show up and say, hey guys, we're taking over now. You guys can leave. Sam, I'm sure that's going to go real great. I'm sure that's going to go really great. Oh, is he one of these people? Sorry, hang on. Sorry, Cynthia. Cynthia with the super chat. They think you're a communist because they're incapable of listening and focusing. I'm so done with these weak people. Me too, girl. Me too. Yeah, so is this guy another one of those failed comedians that is only famous on the right because he's a failed comedian? That would actually make a ton of sense. I mean, the right does love their failed comedians and their failed actors that aren't fucking funny, but they then become conservative heroes and they make a lot of money saying what conservatives want them to say. So Sam's brilliant strategy is that he's just going to show up to a leftist meeting and say, hey guys, you had a really good decades-long run, but we're taking over from here. It's time for you guys to go home. Just pack it up. And Sam seems to think that's all that's going to be required. Sam obviously has never read The Art of War, which, I mean, if you're talking about doing battle with a force that's managed to take over your entire culture, I'm just saying you might actually just want to take, The Art of War is not a long book, Sam. The Art of War is like this long. Like, this is like, you could read this in a couple hours, bro. Like, maybe even, it might take you a little longer because I don't think you're probably that smart. But, like, you could read this book real quick. They think in cartoons and comic strips in their brain. They do, Latrina. They do. They do. So Sam's brilliant plan for how you guys are going to defeat the left is you're not going to listen to anything they say, and you're not going to learn about their organizing strategies, and you're not going to learn to understand their language, and you're not going to look at what they're doing in the real world. You're just going to show up to one of their meetings and go, hey guys, good job taking over culture, but we're taking over from here. And you think that's just going to, okay, Sam, you go ahead and do that. You let me know how that goes for you, bro. You let me know how that goes for you. Again, we had another one of these people with tens of thousands of followers going, check this out. Published in the Wall Street Journal, Town Hall, the Washington Times, and gun magazines. If the left is stupid, then we should be able to be stupid too. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yep. But, one of my favorite things to do, you guys know this, one of my favorite things to do is every time a conservative retard comes at me and they say, yes, we do know about the left. We know everything about the left. It's you who doesn't know anything about the left. The very first question I like to ask them, just to get a sense of, does this person actually know what the fuck they're talking about? How does the left define capitalism? This is basic 101 level information. If you don't understand how the left defines the term capitalism, you do not understand the left, and there's literally nothing else to say. Because if you don't understand how the left defines capitalism, you do not understand any single thing they are doing in the world. Chat, how does the left define capitalism? Can you guys just put it in the chat, just like people can see it on the screen? Can you tell me how the left defines capitalism? I don't want to lead any answers here. I know it takes a second. There we go. Private property ownership, 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 private, like, I'm not asking an absurd question here. I have hundreds of people watching me right now on YouTube, and we're getting hundreds of replies in the chat saying private property ownership. I'm not asking a trick question. I'm not asking for the sun, the moon, and the stars. I'm asking that people who claim to understand, and by the way, I'm seeing it on Rumble as well. Rumble is chatting in private property ownership as well. I am asking for people who claim to understand the left to be able to answer the most basic question about what the left believes. And if you did not answer private property ownership, you got the answer wrong. If you answered anything in additional to private property ownership, you got the answer wrong. It is simply private property ownership. That's it. There is no other answer. There is no differing of opinion. The left is very clear on how they define this. It's also literally in the Communist Manifesto, you stupid motherfuckers. Private property ownership, period. Nothing else. There are a lot of different things that private property ownership means, but if you are asked this question, don't elaborate beyond that, because that is the answer. And any elaboration beyond that gives the conservative retards of the internet way too much leeway to go, well, there's a spectrum of ideas. No, there isn't. No, there isn't. Every single idea relates back to private property ownership. You retarded fucking losers. So, I asked the people in my replies who seem to think that they know everything about the left, how does the left define capitalism? Did any of them get the answer correct? They don't define capitalism. They don't define things because they don't like definitions. There is no unified definition of capitalism on the left. Nope. Wrong. When one can't own private property, one becomes private property. Well, maybe, but that has nothing to do with what the left believes. I do appreciate the super chat though. Thanks so much. Some define it as something evil, while others profit after those who say it's evil. Just look at all the leftist streamers. Majority are millionaires because of poor fucks like you who pumped money into them just to hear them say what you want to hear. So first of all, this person thinks I'm a communist, even though I have anti-communist in my Twitter handle. This person also doesn't know how the left defines capitalism and can't answer a very simple and straightforward question. They mean a class-based mode of production that systemically privileges owners over workers, concentrates. This is the ChatGPT answer, by the way. That's the AI answer to that. Also not correct because it's not specific. W's in the chat for Virgo Moon. Really do appreciate it. Depends on how far left you go. From their own mouths, the far left looks at capitalism as the exploitation of the labor class and the product of their labor. Nope. No, it doesn't depend at all, actually. Doesn't depend at all, actually. Nope. What day of the week is it? And then I replied to this one, okay, so you don't know. And then this person says, I'm not the one who thinks that men magically turn into women. So because I told this person they didn't know how to define, how the left defines capitalism, they said I was a communist. Thank you, W's in the chat for Chitalago. Appreciate it. Let's see, what else? They say to eat the rich. What do we do once they've consumed it? Bah, bah, bah. No, wrong answer. Wrong answer. Back over here. Once again, proving the point. Okay, so another person who doesn't know how to define capitalism. How do you define it, oh enlightened one? Not even related to the question I asked, also proving he doesn't know how the left defines capitalism. They define it as bad and want socialism. We've now entered the preschool version of the answer. The left defines capitalism as bad. Yep. Yeah. The left doesn't even know what a woman is. I don't listen to people who can't tell two genders apart and try to shove communism down my throat. I've already survived communism once, and you retards can't even condemn it. F off. This person apparently thinks I'm a communist who doesn't know what a woman is. The left defines capitalism as the boot on their neck while capitalizing off of government benefits paid for by capitalism. Nope. Wrong. You're literally the reason no one listens to anything you morons say. I'm going to read this one again. You're literally the reason no one listens to anything you morons say. Another person who, yeah, this is every day of my life. This is every fucking day of my life. That depends on the specific leftist we're talking about. No, it doesn't. They seem to frame everything around race and identity. Actually, the closest. I shouldn't even read this with a funny voice, if I'm being honest about it. Jennifer actually got us really fucking close. Jennifer, the closest of all the people who got the answer wrong, because at least Jennifer mentioned property owners. Beggars can't be choosers. I'll take what I can get. But my favorite one was this retard here. Who this retard said, you should go work with the government and fix all the problems. And I said, why doesn't the government ask me to come and work with them? And he said, they don't even know who you are. And I said, I'm pretty sure they do actually know who I am. If for no other reason than I've literally DM'd with Harmeet Dillon on more than one occasion, including when she told me that she cared more about my use of capital letters than she did about communists calling to overthrow the government. I've literally had private conversations with the Assistant Attorney General of the United States, Harmeet Dillon, and I have provided the documentation of this. I've posted the screenshots multiple times. Harmeet Dillon, Assistant Attorney General of the United States, told me explicitly she cared more about my use of capital letters than she did about communists overthrowing the government. And so then this person said, well, the feds aren't the right people to work with anyway. You should go work with local governments. And then I said, why don't you go work with local governments and you give that a try? And this person's response is, this is not my job, nor am I getting paid enough to afford designer handbags for every day of the month. This is your job. You're the one making a living from it. So the conservative retard answer for why they can't do anything about the left and why they won't take the left seriously is, Carlin, you have bought a few too many luxury purses on the resale market, okay? And you bought a few too many luxury purses that you have in a limited edition purse collection on the resale market. And because you own way too many purses, I can't take communism seriously because it's only your job to take communism seriously because you spent a couple $1,000s on resale market luxury purses. And I can't take this seriously because you own too many purses. Yeah, where were they for the past 6 years when I had to eat into all of my savings to continue to do this? And only recently I've actually been able to get back to a good place with it because we have so many new people in the community now. And finally, after fucking years of not doing anything like except for this, I get to have fun and buy things that I fucking like for once. Oh my god, like clutch our fucking pearls. We can't fight communism because you bought too many luxury purses on the resale market. Okay. Okay. You know what? Here's money for another handbag. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly the right response. Is just like, listen, man, I'm starting to twitch. I haven't bought a new handbag in like a week and a half or so. I'm starting to twitch over here. I'm like, don't do it. Don't fucking swipe. You don't have any more room. The struggle is real. It's so bad. But I'm reining it in because I need to organize things before I buy more. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. See, some people love me and they want me to have purses and they want me to be happy. Hey, thanks for joining us, Origami. I appreciate it. So that's what I've been dealing with today, guys. That's what I've been dealing with in the land of conservative retardation. That is what I have been dealing with literally all day long. All fucking day. All day, and it has just been pretty blackpilling, if I'm honest about it. It's kind of like, these are these days where I'm like, you know what, Carlin, what are you even doing here? What are you even doing? I don't even know.